Hello everybody, welcome to Rush Reality. My name is Sam, thank you so much for joining me. Now just a few days ago, I sat in front of this very camera and spoke about the launch of the new Pimax Crystal. And I said, this is very promising, but I hope that Pimax don't do what they've done in the past and quickly move on to another project before they've really polished this one. Little did I know that the gaming gods were not smiling down on me that day, because just a few days would pass and Pimax would be taken to the stage again. We've just seen the release of the Pimax Portal. This is a combination device that is both a handheld gaming device, kind of like a Steam Deck or a Nintendo Switch, that doubles up as a VR headset and then triples up as an entertainment system. Very odd, did not see this coming. It's an unusual device. It has some very promising specs. I'm kind of worried it will be one of those jack of all trades, master of none kind of situations. The launch itself was very odd. It started off with a kind of inspirational video to try and get you hyped up. Then they made the claim that they wanted to go where no one had gone before. And in almost the next very sentence, they went on to parody the Steve Jobs launch of the iPhone. You remember the one? An iPod, a phone, an internet communication device. An iPod, a phone, an internet communication device. These are not three devices, this is one device. They did the exact same thing. A handheld gaming system, a VR headset, an entertainment system. This is not four devices, this is one device. So already I'm like, okay, you're off to an odd start. Let's see where you can go with this. Then they brought out that guy, Joshua Scottson, who did the majority of the last launch. Now I really like this guy, I'm going to call him the Pimax Bro. He doesn't really have that usual Silicon Valley tech look. He looks like a gym bro that they've stuck on stage. The suit doesn't really fit, the hair looks kind of funny, but he has a fair bit of charisma and I quite like this guy. So let's talk about the Portal. Is it something we really wanted? Well, first off, they started talking about the capabilities as a handheld gaming system. Now, I own a Steam Deck, and I absolutely love it, if I'm honest. I spend a lot of time on it. It's a really good way to get into some gaming when you don't want to be sat at your PC or your console. But will the Portal be able to compete? I'm not too sure. It runs on an XR2 chip, same as most standalone VR headsets. I'm not sure that will bring the same gaming potential as the Steam Deck. It also has a much higher resolution screen. That could mean that the games are much harder to run. I also doubt it will come with something like a native build of Steam, so you won't have that massive library of games to jump into. It'll probably need bespoke games to be built for it. That's something we're going to keep coming back to today. It could be the Achilles heel of this product. It's an incredibly modular device. The controllers snap off the sides and they will be the basis of what you control the device with, but in many different forms. They will slot into a housing to become a VR controller. You'll be able to use them as single controllers to play in a multiplayer setup. They also function as motion controllers. We'll get to that shortly. The device itself looks pretty sleek and I imagine it could be comfortable to play with. It just depends how well those games are going to play. Time will tell. So next, they moved on to the bit that obviously I'm going to be most interested in, that's the VR capabilities. They hailed this device as a VR 3.0 headset for the mainstream. And you know what, they're touting some pretty good specs. To use it as a VR device, you slide off the controllers, then you slot the screen into a VR headset. On the back of the strap, you've got an additional battery to keep the headset powered for a longer time. So what's it capable of? Well, it's got full room scale tracking, powered by 4 inbuilt controllers that are in the actual base of the unit. It runs at 144 Hz. I was very impressed to see that you can connect a HDMI cable to it, something we haven't seen on most new headsets. That should mean much less compression and a very good quality PC VR signal. You can also play wirelessly if you want to purchase their additional WiGig module. That's a very promising bit of tech that promises lag-free, high-quality, high-resolution VR gameplay. Now, you need to be within 5 to 8 meters of a PC and it needs direct line of sight, so not perfect for every situation, but I'm actually really excited about the WiGig module and I think it could be very good. Your general VR visuals will be heavily impacted by the choice of lens you choose to work with. The kind of mid-tier that I'd expect most people to use with this headset for VR gaming will bring 27 ppd visuals at a 100-degree field of view, or a 40 ppd set which will bring a much narrower field of view of 60 degrees, and that is for what they call movie mode. 60 degrees is much narrower, and you wouldn't want to use that for VR gaming or anything highly immersive. But for watching content, it will be kind of ideal. Because you don't want the screen to be filling your entire vision, that would be incredibly tiring on your eyes, or you need to be turning your head to see every aspect of the screen. You want it nicely centered in the middle like you'd have with a TV at home. And that sounds very good. This could be one of the best ways to view content. And finally, they had the 20 ppd versions that bring a 140-degree field of view. So if you want to increase your immersion but maybe reduce that clarity a little bit, that's the one you'll go for. And they didn't even stop there. The options are starting to get a little bit dizzying. You could opt to forego their standard VR headset and instead go for their social VR headset. That brings all the same features of the first headset, but it includes facial tracking. So you'll be able to play games like VR chat and be really expressive, and that will convey over into your character's animations. There's a couple of options you can go for with the actual Portal screen itself. There's the standard version that comes with 128GB of storage or 256. Or you can choose to upgrade to the 256GB QLED version if you want those really deep blacks and bright vibrant colours. So those are some really promising specs, but how will this hold up in use? I've never been too blown away by the VR headsets that you slide a screen into the front of, but tech's moved on a long way since the early days, and maybe they've really optimised this for a much better experience. My concerns are that the device itself has a touchscreen that you'll use when you're doing the gaming. As somebody who owns a Steam Deck, I've had it for a very short time, and I can tell you it quickly becomes covered in fingerprints. I would also worry about over time scratches being added to the screen, and how your visuals might change as those kind of things pop up on your device. I'd also worry about the looseness of the fitting and if things have really been optimised for the best experience. And with the modular controllers, when they're in these separate housings, will they really provide the same experience as you get with a native VR controller? I don't think they will. Before they finished the VR section, they showed some gameplay for the kind of games you can expect to see at launch on this headset. And if I'm honest, this is where it really fell down for me. We saw a couple of combat games with some kind of kung fu aspects that looks okay, and then they showed us Space Slurpees. Now I've got Space Slurpees on the PC, I've had it for a while. If I'm honest, I've probably got about 4 to 5 minutes total gameplay. This game really doesn't blow you away. It's fine, it's okay, it's a bit of an arcade experience. I don't want to put it down too much. I've seen the developer on a few things, it seems like a cool dude. I'm sure he's put a lot of hard work into it. But these aren't the kind of games that will sell a headset. Just think what other companies have launched with. The Index brought in Half-Life Alyx to sell their headset. That was game changing. The Rift S had Lone Echo. The Quest 1 had The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. The Quest 2 had Population 1. The PSVR 2 is about to launch with Horizon Call of the Mountain. These are really top tier, almost AAA title games across the board. Space Slurpees just isn't going to hold up to that same experience. And because they've built their own architecture, with the exception of when you're connecting to your PC to play your Steam library, which I'm sure you'll be able to do, and it could be a fairly decent experience, all other content is going to need to be created for Pimax. And that isn't an ideal situation. If I was a developer thinking what platform should I build my new game on, I probably wouldn't be looking over there. I'd be thinking, well, the Quest 2 has a massive user base, PSVR 2 is probably going to also bring in loads of new users, this one is probably going to fall short. They then moved on from the VR gaming side and they talked about some motion games. This looks kind of poor to me. It's the kind of stuff you remember from the Wii, things like Wii Sports, all that kind of stuff. And again, these are going to be games that are going to need to be developed for their ecosystem. I wouldn't hold out much hope of anything particularly promising here. The last thing they showed was that it was also an entertainment system. So they showed it in a dock in front of the TV, and then you can play things like Netflix and Hulu on it. Does anybody need another way to play Netflix? Now me personally, I could choose to watch it on my TV natively. I could then watch it on my Skybox. I could watch it on my Chromecast. I could watch it on my Apple TV. I could cast it from my phone. I could cast it from my iPad. I'm never going to be short of ways to watch Netflix. But will anyone not have a way into it already? Maybe your great grandma. Is she going to be picking up a VR headset and handheld gaming system? Probably not. I think that whole bit was kind of unnecessary. But then they took us to the price. And if I'm honest, I was kind of blown away. The Portal itself starts at $299. You can upgrade it to $399 if you want that increased storage. It then goes to $549 if you want the QLED version, and it's just an extra 50 quid to increase that to the QLED version with the VR headset. That is kind of incredible, and if they can find a way to make these experiences hold up and get the software developed correctly with enough people supporting it with content, then that could be kind of fantastic. And it left me with quite a lot of hope, because if they can do all of that with $549, then just think what they could do if they just slimmed it down a little bit. Didn't worry about the handheld gaming device, just made an entry-level VR headset that was very, very good and very competitive. That could really steal some market share. I don't know, what do you think? Is this an exciting device? Is it something you're likely to pick up? If you don't own something like a Steam Deck or a Nintendo Switch and have been considering getting into VR, that's a pretty niche situation to be in, but this could be ideal for you. Are you interested in picking this up? Then let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and I would love to see you on the next one. Thank you very much. Goodbye.